that millennials more and more are not wanting kids? Well, when I hear that, something interesting arrives. Just even amongst our coworkers and even some of the family members and extended family members, when I hear even friends, like younger friends and coworkers that are younger friends, where they say, I don't know if I want to bring kids into this world. What if, friend, just listen to me for a minute, what if there was an agenda programming the millennial generation into thinking they shouldn't have more kids? I don't know if you know this or not, but there truly is a population control agenda out there. Oh, is there ever? When it comes to vaccinations, they're using promotion of abortion, all kinds of programming that is completely targeted to a specific generation, a specific, what they call demographic, to program them to have less children or to have none, because they believe in population control. So they've done it through vaccinations, they've done it through the promotion of abortion, and they're also doing it through media like this. So check this out. According to Pew Research Center study, 20% of the people will remain childless. That doubled since 1970. Okay. So here we now produce this compelling information that is saying that this generation of people don't want to have kids. And why? What are the reasons why they are saying they don't want to have? Kids aren't always financially feasible, especially if you have student loans. Hello? The millennials are not the first generation to have student loans. The generation before them had student loans, okay? They don't want to bring kids into this world right now. Do you know that my generation said the same exact thing, which then took me to go, wow, I wonder which generation has not said that. I wonder which generation. Okay, because look, when I look at, I don't want to bring kids into this world right now. What is this world right now? What is it? Is it the same world that we were in the 20s and 30s where there was major gangs and, mafia stuff and people being killed, shot in cold blood? Is this we're not even in a war on our own turf. We don't even know what it's like to experience war on our own turf. So did the generation that, way back when our nation was even founded, during the Civil War and all the wars in the very beginning, where what? Yeah, the men were going off and there was no telecommunication. There was like nothing. Like here's a mom left with her children off in some, place, not necessarily in a city, but it could have been in the mountains, and she's having to what? Hold her own gun to hold her own protection over her and her 3 children as her husband has been taken off into war and will not know whether or not he's going to come back alive. Right? Before we had all of this war technology even, okay? So do you think that generation was concerned about bringing children into this world? What about during all the fights and during the time of all the massive racial discrimination? Today we think that there's racial discrimination. Let's turn back the hands of time, friend, where, we are not having people hung because of their color anymore. We're not having, I don't even want to go there. My point is that let's come on, look at this. I believe that we are being fed a narrative. We're being fed lines in which we will say, we're being fed messaging that is programming us, and then we're also saying it, which means we are programming our friends and other family members. We are also then sharing this kind of stuff on Facebook because we're trying to give this message I believe is strategically coming from high places and not the highest place, meaning from the Most High God. But I believe there's an agenda for population control so that the elitists and the richest of the rich have no competition for their children. They don't like that there's 7 billion people on the planet, and they are at all costs coming up with ways to control the population. In fact, I even wonder if some of the so-called wars that are happening, where we're sending off our sons and daughters off to other nations, if that doesn't have something to do with population control as well. So come on, will you just join me in on this? Listen, if you're a millennial, which, what age group is that? It depends on which website that you're on, right? Is it 22 to 36? Some websites say it's 33 down to 18. Other websites say, listen, when I was that age, that we were not given a brand called something. We weren't a generation whatevers, not at all. We were just another generation. We didn't have a name that was attached to us. And by the way, this is strategic. This is called branding. This is called programming. And this is propaganda. That if they could now pull a group of people together, they isolate this group together, and now they are programming those kids on how they should think and what their opinions should be financially, what their opinions should be family-wise, what it should be for their future, programming them on things like saying this, that millennials are looking for a house that has a yard for their dog versus thinking about having kids. Okay, what is that? That is straight up propaganda, programming the minds of the young people, directing them to what? I don't know. I can imagine. Who would write something like that? Could it be somebody from the pet industry that is a multi-billion-dollar pet? I mean, the pet industry is a multi-billion-dollar business. And we're talking, I don't know, years ago, 10 years ago, it was a $500 billion industry. It has grown exponentially since then. So are you listening to what I'm saying? So do you understand that there are people who lobby for your mind time, confusing you as to who you are, what you were made for, what your calling is here on this planet, confusing you to their own personal agendas, whether it's the pet industry that is writing something like that, or it is, again, putting out these questions. Oh, student loans are too expensive. Student loans were expensive in our time. Yeah, but Danny, they're more now. Hello, money was worth more. Hello, do you understand what I'm saying? Meaning money today is worth more than it was when I was in high school, when I was looking at going to college and having student loans. Do you understand? So everything is relative. All right, so look at this. So which generation would have said, I don't want to bring kids into this world? What about during World War II? What about World War II? Would that have been an appropriate time for someone to say, I don't want to bring kids into this world? Come on, which generation hasn't said that? Let's go back 2,000 years. Let's go back 3,000 years. Let's go back 4,000 years. Where raids were happening in your own town, in your own homes. Do you understand? What about the days of the pirates? Right? Do you hear what I'm saying? If we were actually to look at world history from the top down, we are living in the most luxurious, most blessed, and safest time ever in history. And yet, we don't want to bring kids into this world. Where did that thought come from? I promise you, it's not your own. I promise you, it's not your own. Consider, my friend, that somebody has incepted your brain. Have you ever seen the movie Inception? It's a real deal. It really is. The entire concept is very, very real. It is about messaging. And what does it mean? It's that somebody else is planting a seed inside of your mind, causing you to question the reality of life. Go forth and multiply. And we line up a whole bunch of reasons and excuses as to why we're not made to have kids, why we shouldn't bring them into this world, why it's going to be too expensive, why it's going to be too hard. Why? Well, anyone spending any time reading these kind of articles on the internet, they're planting those seeds inside of your head. They're telling you how you are to think about who you are, about your future, about a mandate, about the absolute mandate and calling on our life of go forth and multiply. Makes sense. And what else? Pregnancy takes a serious physical toll. Is that like a new thought? Of course it does. Of course it does. You're renting out your body for what? For life. For the greatest joy of producing a life. Now listen, I remember when I first started having kids, this is what people would say to me, like, you're bringing another kid into this world? We have 5. You're bringing another kid into it? What? Man, I just couldn't do it. I can't bring kids into this world. I'm like, I better bring kids into this world. And I better train them up to be thinkers and independent thinkers. And I better train them up with powerful skills so that they can rule and reign here on planet Earth. I better do my part to make sure that they make wise financial decisions. It'll be easy to raise leaders in today's generation because nobody else is even thinking like that. The other parents are giving birth and hoping for the best. So when I would see kids out and about and they're wild, like, that's a parent that doesn't know what they're doing. That has nothing to do with a kid. That is a parent who needs a whooping themselves. That's a parent who needs their nose in the corner. That's a parent who's not paying attention and not looking to the future about what they're setting their kid up for. Sorry, I'm really passionate about this subject. Okay, here's another reason, according to this poll, that the millennials are afraid to mess up their kids. You think you're the first generation afraid of messing up your kids? No. Oh my gosh. I've been afraid my entire raising kids' life that I would mess up my kids. Did I mess up? Oh boy, have I messed up so much. It's the grace of Almighty God that they've turned out the way they've turned out. And bottom line, these kids are pretty awesome. Independent thinkers. Pretty awesome. And look, do they make mistakes? Yes. Why? Because that's life. Life is about learning from mistakes. People who fail are the ones who never learn from their mistakes. But listen to me. I want you to know, if you're a millennial, you're being programmed to think these things. And you're not the first generation to think them. My generation thought them. My mother's generation thought them. And I'm sure my grandmother's generation probably thought them. And my grandmother's generation would have been a generation to go, I'm not so sure I should bring in kids in this world. Hello, could you imagine going from the 50s to the 60s? 50s, like, oh, everything is wonderful. Everybody is happy. I have my picket fence. I have my nice little dress with my tight little waist. I'm ironing my sheets. I'm ironing my husband's clothes. I wear a dress every day while I cook and clean. To the 60s. Like the drug revolution, the sex revolution. Would that have been a time to go, oh, I shouldn't bring kids into this world? There are so many other times where that question has come up in a generation. So don't think for a minute. Don't buy into this nonsense. All these articles that are being written to target you, to brand you. They have branded you. They have set you apart so they can market to you. So they can market to you, so they can tell you what millennials are doing. I have a question for you. Have you ever been polled? Were you a part of this poll that said, according to Pew Research, the study that 20% of the people will remain childless? Were you called? Were you personally asked? Did you fill out a survey? Probably not. Probably not. Okay, a digital publication geared toward millennials called MIC asked their followers why they would choose not to have kids. Okay, why? Why would they ask this? Do you understand? This is all marketing. You segregate a group, and now you give messaging to them. So don't fall in the trap of propaganda, of you being told how you should think and how you should feel about something. That when they go ahead and they tantalize you with these very seductive concepts, and then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, how can I bring kids in this world? Yeah, and I have all these student loans, and kids are expensive. And yeah, like, pregnancy takes a serious toll on my body. Trust me, friend, your body is going to have a toll on it before you have kids and after you have kids. There's plenty of people who battle with their weight who have never had a child. Hello? I remember, I got to tell you, one of my spiritual daughters, which is my husband's cousin, that their mom had struggled with weight. And so they were very afraid to ever have kids. And yet I had 5, and I still was a size 6, still had a flat stomach. Yes, I still wore a bikini. Don't judge me, Mr. Christian, Mrs. Christian. So still wear a bikini, okay? And I still sport one. Actually looking about the same as anyone else that is in their 20s around. Now, I probably am off a little bit, but the point is that I can still sport it, right? So check it out. So I said to my spiritual daughter, Laura Lee, she says, I'm really worried about having kids because I don't, what happens when I gain weight? Am I going to be able to lose it? My mom was never able to lose it. And I said, Laura Lee, you are your own person with your own makeup. And I'm going to tell you something. My mom was 280 pounds. Both my sisters were 300 pounds. I made the choice that I would not go down that road. And I made a point that after I had every kid, I made sure that I lost that weight. It was part of a focus. I did not give into I just can't lose it. No, I was in control of what went into my mouth. And the last 2 babies 4 and 5, I was a little older. I was 28 and 30 when I had them. It was not as easy to drop it. So what did I do? I swam for a month. I lost the last 10 pounds, and I hadn't had to worry about it. I said, so you are athletic. You know what to put in your mouth. You have your own body type. It's up to you. She's had 3 kids. She's bounced back to her same size 6 after every single child that she's had. She didn't gain more weight than she needed to. She was conscious of it. So you cannot allow this kind of propaganda of, it takes a serious toll on your body. What doesn't? You're going to get old no matter what. And do you want to be alone when you're old? You want to be lonely when you're old? Do you want to be that aunt or that uncle that, just doesn't have anything to pass on what you're building to somebody else? Here's another one. I'm sorry. I'm so passionate about this. They don't believe they can have it all, so they choose a career over the family. Oh, Really? You don't believe that you can have it all? My life is living proof. I used to hear people say, it's like, once you have kids, then you can't travel. My kids have traveled all over the world. Even Erica, when I was first getting started in business, right? I was pregnant. I got pregnant 6 months after I was homeless. 5 months after I was homeless, I got pregnant. And I traveled. I had my newborn baby with me traveling all over the world. And then when I had baby number 2, we traveled with him. And we had the next one. We traveled with them. And we kept traveling with them. Your kids do not stop your earning power. You stop your earning power. Your kids do not stop you from fulfilling your dreams. You stop you from fulfilling your dreams. I worked part-time as I was raising my kids. Part-time. Made millions of dollars and give millions of dollars away. So do not buy into this nonsense because they are totally programming you. People in high places. What have they done? I'm going to repeat it again. This is all propaganda. I'm telling you right now, it's straight up propaganda. Segregating you, saying this is how you guys are. This is how you think. This is what you like to buy. And then what do? They sell it to you. So can you see this? They do not want you to build generational wealth. They do not want you to have a legacy. They do not want you to have the fulfillment that they are having by having the big families they have. They don't want competition for their kids. They want you to stay broke. They want you to spend all your money. They want you to not have a purpose. They want you to be depressed so they can sell you antidepressants. That's what this is about. And it makes me as mad as a hornet. And I want to know what you think about it. Is this propaganda? Have you ever thought about this? Because what generation did not have the fears that this generation is having? Every mother wonders and worries whether or not she's going to screw up her kids. Come on, there isn't one that I know of. There's like, I'm afraid I'm going to screw up. We all are afraid of that. That doesn't stop us from having kids. Go forth and multiply. In fact, because the millennials are being attacked by the elitists, because the millennials are being attacked by the great marketers who are making money off of what? Crowding your vision and then saying, here, buy this. Here, have this. Yeah, buy a house so your dog can have a yard. So now buy some more pet products too. So that what? You have nothing to pass down to the next generation. So that you are not going to live what you think you'll be able to live by not having kids. I promise you. I grew up in a home that trained me to fail. I'm going to get emotional, so I'm letting you know this right now. I grew up in a home that trained me to fail in every way. Financially, relationally, health-wise, I was trained to fail. And I made that decision, I'm going to tell you, when I came to the understanding of the Savior. He changed my heart, and He changed my life, and He rescued me. He rescued me. And I finally got a vision for something that was greater than just me and stuff. And I got a vision that was greater than just straight up selfishness. And I brought my fears before Him. We dug them out together. And some of the greatest joys of my life have names. Christina, Erica, Cabe, Roman, and Micah, who have all had an impact on other people's lives. I cannot imagine not having any one of them. Every single one of them have inspired people to be better. Every single one of them, through their choices and their own life experiences, have made a difference in people's lives. Where they've helped to motivate people. I have a daughter who's helped people from making really big, bad mistakes. In the midst of her own mistakes, in her own failures, and the pain she suffered from her own choices, she has used to help save other people from suffering in the same way that she had. These 5 kids have influence on thousands and thousands of people. These 5 kids. The world would not be the same without them. And the world will not be the same without the 5 or the 10 or the 3 or the 2 that are locked up inside of your female or male organs right now. There's a destiny calling out, and there is propaganda trying to kill it. There's propaganda trying to kill the future that's inside of you. The greatest joys, and yes, pain, and yes, suffering, but the greatest joys has been raising these amazing human beings, who 2 of which have offspring more, and hopefully the other ones do as well, which I have no control over. Bottom line is, this propaganda continues. Man, here's what I say. If you're a millennial, why don't you go ahead and give it one of these and say, oh yeah, you don't want me to have kids? I think I'll have a handful. Oh, you don't want me to have kids? I think I'll have a handful. And I'll purpose to raise these kids to be leaders, to be the competition to your kids. I will purposely raise my next generation to succeed wildly in the marketplace and to be wise financially. I will purposely raise up a generation, yes, that's going to rule and reign in the kingdom of heaven, because you elitists don't want me to. So I think I'm just going to do it anyway and see what's on the other side. I promise you this. I've had stuff and I've had kids. I'll take kids over stuff any day. I'll take family and everything that comes with it over houses, cars, vacations, all of it. I would take them over money any day. Any day. I would take them over fame any day. I would take them over anything that I've ever accomplished in my life. Nothing compares to them. Nothing. So, what do you think? Is it possible that there's an agenda out for your mind, millennials? Is it possible? Is it possible you're being played like the fiddle? Is it possible? Yeah. That you're a puppet on a string and you're being told how to think? I want you to look at how you're being targeted. Look at what they're trying to get you to buy. Look at how they're trying to get you to think, how they're trying to get you to live. Just look at it. And then I want you to look 30,000 feet in the air. Look from world history. And I want you to look at our world today in comparison to what it was in the past. Go back thousands of years. Was there a safer time to be raising kids? Nope. Sorry. Look at all of those objections you have, and I want you to compare it to truth. Compare it to truth, and let's see what you find. Please, I want you to write me. I want you to respond. I want to hear what you have to say. Where you're watching this right now, just start writing. Leaving me a comment. I want to read what you got to say. I want to hear. I want you to give me your perspective, and I want to learn from you. That's it for us today. Please, it's time to step up, rise up, and have some kids. And if you want to help raising them and you want to know that you're doing it right, you want to know and feel good about what you're doing, you want less stress than what you see, the neighbors' kids who were screaming out everywhere. My kids weren't those kids, and that was by design. Get a hold of the copy of Grooming the Next Generation for Success. Grooming the Next Generation for Success. It's powerful. It'll show you exactly how to do it well, and to do it right. And it's simple, common sense stuff. It's going to make perfect sense in your mind. And you're going to go, I could do that. I could do that. You got this, I promise. All right, DannyJohnson.com is the website. Grooming the Next Generation for Success is the book and home study course. Check it out. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.
If this episode was an encouragement to you, go to DannyJohnson.com and share it with your friends now. You never know who else needs to hear it. This has been The Danny Johnson Show. Join us every weekday at 7 a.m. for more insights that will help you get to the life you've always wanted.